Good morning, it is Monday, September 12th, and I'm going to be doing a drive with FSD Beta 10.69.2 from my house here in Northeast Minneapolis to my company's office in Edina, Minnesota. I've had some mixed results so far with 10.69.2, but overall it's been fairly positive. There's been a few minor regressions from 69.1.1 that I've noticed, but obviously not enough to slow down the progress of the wider rollout to the rest of the public testers out there. So I know a lot of folks have been patiently waiting on 10.12.2 for over 100 days now. So I'm really happy that you guys are actually getting to test 10.69, and I hope your drives are very, very good. So anyways, without further ado, let's go for a drive and see how FSD Beta handles this route with 69.2. We had a pedestrian on our left there, even though they were not going to be coming in our path. The car did not overly hesitate for them. A little bit better handling of that intersection today. I'm guessing it's case in part because of there's less parked cars on the street as people went to work, but that's still been a problem area for pretty much all the 10.69 builds, where it seems to hesitate there more than it has in previous builds. There's not great visibility, so I kind of understand why, but it seems like they've made it a bit more hesitant there in that specific scenario. You can see we kind of had a bush blocking our view there. So the car is pulling out. It looks like we were kind of inching into that lane there. But we had no cars coming to our left. Now I've noticed in the past, in past drives, like I did one yesterday, where there were cars coming from our left and the car did not inch out into the lane. I feel like it's been very good about doing that in 69.2, where it tries to stay within its boundaries and not try to, encroach on the oncoming traffic lane there from the left. So, I think that's definitely an improvement that I've seen. In 1.1, that was one thing that I noticed was that the car would definitely sometimes encroach into the approaching traffic lanes there before it made its left turn there. So, and then this area, as I called up in yesterday's video, continues to be fixed in 69.2. There's been no regressions there. The car stays in this proper lane here on the left, which is the only lane that goes straight through this intersection. In previous builds, it would try to hop in the right lane there, which is turn only, and then if you tried canceling the turn, it would sometimes be very erratic, and you don't know what it might get. It might actually try to turn left as it tries to pass this intersection. It did a lot of wheel movement. It was really kind of sketchy, so it resulted in a lot of disengagements. That one continues to be fixed. So a lot of good things overall in the 69 builds that I've seen so far, where I would say at least 4 or 5 long-standing issues that were just annoyances that resulted in a lot of unnecessary disengagements are no longer, experienced now in these new builds, which is really awesome. So we're getting closer to zero disengagement drives. A lot of these routes have some tricky spots still remaining though, so we're not quite there yet. So obviously a lot of work is still yet to be done. So I actually took over there. We were getting a little too close to that dump truck there. That's one thing where I would have much rather seen FSD give it a bit more space and use the shoulder. There's nobody over there, so we got plenty of room. Might as well use it. And we continue to hesitate here too much, and you can see some of the weird wheel movement there. So I'm definitely going to report that. My guess, after doing that turn now a few times, and that's a turn on 37th Avenue Northeast, and we're turning onto 5th Street Northeast, where I noticed this traffic stop sign there has a little light, like a flashing light on it. I've never seen it lit up, but the car seems to wait to see if it's going to get a reading from it, and I wonder if that's really why it's hesitating. Yesterday I noticed some phantom VRUs were visualized to the right before the turn, and that was kind of my understanding there, but I did not see any this time around, but I did see that light, so I wonder if that's really the reason for it. Either way, I mean, we have several of those stop signs around here that are you know, can cause some problems. So maybe that's our root cause for excessive hesitation at intersections like that, which most oftentimes than not are actually empty. So we end up just waiting and annoying people behind us. But all right, in this intersection here of 5th Street Northeast and St. Anthony Parkway has been a problem for us in previous builds. Had a good one here yesterday where we didn't excessively hesitate. Let's see what we do here. Again, great job. I think maybe the two common things with both the turns that we just made today and yesterday, we had no oncoming traffic, and I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes from. But for now, I'll consider it a possible improvement in dot 2. I didn't see any noticeable, improvements in 69.1 or 1.1, so this would be something new for dot 2 behavior-wise. So. And again, we're trying to signal as if we're going to turn into the oncoming lane. So I'm not going to cancel it this time. I'm going to let it do it. And you can see there it does cancel the turn, but, if somebody else was driving that hadn't experienced this a bunch of times, I think they'd definitely get a bit nervous that the car is going to, turn into the oncoming lane and try to use that, which would obviously not be good. So. Alright, so we have some pedestrians on our right here. Let's see how the car behaves. They're not going to be in our path here. Honestly, it did a great job there. It didn't excessively hesitate or jam on the brakes, so that was honestly really, really good. Exactly what we want to see. So I personally continue to see good improvements with pedestrians and overall VRUs in dot 2 that were a little bit problematic. Definitely in dot 1, it was a little better in 1.1, but it seems to be a further improvement in dot 2. So looks like we are inching towards that curb again, but it does catch itself. So very interesting why it thinks it wants to kind of go to the right there and use that dead space a little bit. I'm guessing it might be because of the center of the road, but you can also kind of see the path here on our left sometimes is visualized as driving space, which it's definitely not. In previous builds, the car would straight to the center, like right about here, you'll see it. Let's see if it catches it, and it does catch itself. But you can kind of see that path lit up there as almost like it's drivable space. So I continue to report those things, but again, the car is doing the right thing now, so no real big complaints, just more of an annoyance. So right there, we detected the wrong intersection here. Let's see what it does. We got cars behind us here that are definitely going to start getting annoyed. All right, so we're not being a good steward of the road here. We should definitely be aligning ourselves more to the left. I'm going to hit the accelerator here because this car is coming kind of fast. And maybe they were slowing down and, we were just detecting that. So not sure why it didn't just proceed. We had a good window there on our left. All right, and this intersection looks like the lights are out of service, so more than likely I'm going to have to hit the accelerator here to proceed. So coming to a complete stop. I'm going to give it a sec here. It's not going, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of the throttle here. And again, we're trying to use the oncoming lane, it looks like they're on the left turn. I've definitely noticed that behavior now a few times. At that intersection, I noticed it yesterday, and there's another one right up here, right before we get onto I-94, where it did the same thing. And what's weird is in previous builds, at least this turn up here, we had no problems with in 69.1 and 1.1. So it's interesting to see the behavior there kind of regress a little bit. We're going to see up here if it does it again, but those two left turns there were problematic for me yesterday, so we'll see if it's consistent at least today. Condition-wise, it's sunny and partially cloudy today, so it's not bad weather at all. So very similar conditions, so hopefully we see similar results. A little bit of hesitation on the throttle there. I'm not sure why. I didn't see any potential obstacles or things that it visualized or saw. You see it's doing it again there. So I'm going to report that. I'm not sure what it thinks it's seeing here. It's the shadows or what, but I don't see any phantom VRUs. very jerky today again. It did a great job with that, those partly marked lines in 1.1. It seems to be a little bit regressed in .2 here. All right, so we have some of those lane dividers here in the middle. We have a lead car today, so let's see if it's going to try to run over them. So again, there's definitely a regression with the left turn behavior, it seems like, at least for those past two intersections there, where it did it flawlessly numerous times in .1 and 1.1. So I'm not sure what was changed to make that regression happen, but it's something that hopefully they'll fix in a minor release here. A little bit of hesitation here. We eventually get out and make that turn, but that turn continues to be a struggle there. And it looks like we're having a tough time getting on the freeway here too. So a lot of jerky behavior. You saw the wheel movements there, you know, not optimal. It definitely seems like this build, I would say so far, is a bit less polished overall than 1.1, which makes me scratch my head. I mean, the behavior with pedestrians is definitely an improvement, but you know, the inputs and whatnot just seem less confident. So seems like a step backwards so far. So anyways, we are going to be on the freeway for a little bit here. I am going to fast forward to the next city street part. So see you in a bit. All right, so we are on Highway 100 South here and just about to exit here onto Edina Industrial Boulevard here, Edina, Minnesota. So we're almost to our destination. We got a right turn and then a left turn, and then we're basically there. So there is a little bit of twisty roads here and a couple of tricky intersections that we have to kind of traverse before we're there. But so far, again, like I've seen in other builds, it's pretty aggressive on trying to reduce the speed here. You can see we're really dropping the speed down to 25. We'd have nobody behind us, but I'm definitely going to report that because it's a bit too aggressive. If we're going to be human-like, we got to carry a little bit more speed through that S curve back there. And then we have an unprotected left turn, or right turn here. Traffic would be approaching from our left. There were no cars this time, so we just hesitated for a brief moment and proceeded nicely through the intersection. So good stuff there. There's been some problems with that intersection in previous builds where the car would hesitate a bit too much. And then sometimes put us into bad situations where it would try to react and go for a gap that was no longer there. And I just noticed there, the car actually was trying to go on red there, so I hit the brake. So that was definitely bizarre. It must have picked up the adjacent light there. So that was definitely a disengagement. We were almost green anyways, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But obviously, if somebody was trying to rush that light and go, that would have been problematic. So a little bit of hesitation as we pull into the parking lot here. We have a car coming from our right, so I just inched it forward there. Yeah, so overall, again, I think this build so far seems just a little bit more erratic in how its steering inputs and braking inputs are, especially when approaching oncoming traffic. Protected left turns definitely seem like a regression area compared to the other builds, the other 69 builds we've seen. So, you know, definitely some positives, though. The behavior around VRUs is definitely as confident as it's been across all the 69.x builds. So, you know, there is some promise here. Hopefully they'll maybe address some of the protected left turns. It doesn't come down to like planner line selection where those really go wrong. So those can definitely, I think, hopefully should be easily fixable. So hopefully they release like a .1 or 2.1 release or something like that maybe addresses those things before we go to the next major release. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.